Yes!
If I recall correctly, it was during the last couple of months of 2020 when I randomly came across an Instagram advertisement talking about a device that could play Game Boy Advance games on a computer. Now usually I would scroll past something like this, but my curiosity got the best of me, so I clicked on the ad and it took me to an Instagram account known as Epilogue. And as I scrolled through the gallery of pictures, I found out that the team behind this project were designing a device that would be able to play not only Game Boy Advance games, but classic Game Boy and Game Boy Color games as well. Every now and then, I will find myself visiting the Instagram account for updates on the project, and before long, it was confirmed that the device itself could be pre-ordered during the first week of January. At this point in time, my mind was more than made up, and I decided to go for it. The Epilogue team quickly won me over because their response time was lightning fast. They were really good about responding to Instagram messages and emails, so if there ever came a point in time where I had even the smallest bit of skepticism, they always gave me some peace of mind. April of 2021 was the original release date, but due to some production hiccups, they pushed the release date back to May of 2021. It would make sense to get upset and impatient about something like this, but if you really think about it, it's actually a good thing, because there's been plenty of times where I've waited seemingly forever for a video game to release, then it releases and it sucks because the dev team didn't take the time to iron out the bugs and glitches before the game came out. So if there ever comes a point in time where I'm anticipating something and the release date changes, I'm always cool with it. The best version of a product comes into fruition when the developers take their time. Anyways, the Epilogue player started shipping out May 30th of 2021, and I ended up getting mine on June 4th. I have a link to the Epilogue website in the description box of this video, but be advised that at the time this video is going live, the product is currently out of stock, but it's expected to restock soon. But anyways, I want to share my overall experience with this interesting device with y'all. We're going to do the unboxing first, then the initial review of the hardware and software. But with all of that out of the way, let's go ahead and get it in. Okay, so two things. For one, I can't find my camera, so I gotta film this on my phone. And for two, the lighting sucks really bad in my apartment, so I'm gonna have to film this right next to the window because that's the best lighting I could get. But first impressions, I mean, the box looks pretty nice. It's not really that much going on with it. It looks like really retro, like really 90s oriented, which makes perfect sense because it is a Game Boy playing device. And one of the most prominent things I noticed is that it says Founders Edition on the box. I don't really know what that means. If I had to assume something, I would say that as far as I'm concerned, this is the first batch of Epilogue players to be released, and this might have something to do with that. I don't know. I more than likely will ask the team at Epilogue on Instagram or something like that what exactly it means, but again, not really much going on with the box. It does say what operating systems it runs on. Let me move this plastic out the way. Windows 7 or later, Mac OS, and Linux. I'm pretty sure everybody who has a computer has one of these operating systems. So yeah, revisit your childhood favorites. Yeah, definitely what I'm about to be doing. There's not really much going on. Let's go ahead and get into this one-handed unboxing. Situations like this, I hate doing one-handed unboxings. I really wish I had my camera. Let's see what's inside. Okay, so, all right, I like that. It comes with a USB-C, which is nice. I mean, honestly, I expected a micro USB, but it's 2021. Everybody should be upgrading to USB-C by now, so that makes perfect sense. And there's the Epilogue player itself. All right, see if I can catch that trademarking, everything on the bottom and stuff. All right, looks pretty nice. And what does this say on the inside of the box? I really just dropped it. Hold on. Okay, so it says, "Thank you. You play a huge part in our mission to preserve video game history. We plan on releasing more products that bring to life the nostalgia for childhood games with a modern twist. Today, we will make sure that retro games aren't forgotten as time passes by, but the charm is here for generations to come." I like that. You know, I really respect you guys at Epilogue. Y'all an amazing team. Y'all poured some serious blood, sweat, and tears into this whole project, and I was with y'all the entire way. I could not wait for this thing to come out. It doesn't look like there's anything else in the box. And what is this? Okay, so these are instructions. I mean, it's pretty straightforward stuff, honestly. It shows you how to insert the cartridge inside of the Epilogue player. Okay, let's go ahead and actually fire this bad boy up and see what it's made of. Before you're actually able to jump into playing your favorite Game Boy games, you'll first have to swing by Epilouge's website and download the Epilogue software. It only takes a few minutes to download, but once the download is complete, you're good to go. Slot your game of choice into the Epilogue player, and it's go time. Now this is to be expected, but until you slot a cartridge into the hardware, you'll be greeted by a please insert cartridge screen. I was curious to see how the hardware will react if I were to slot different game cartridges rapidly. And to my surprise, the hardware was able to read and recognize my games almost instantaneously. What you see on the screen is live captured footage of me switching between different Pokemon games. And as I did this, there was literally no downtime between how quickly the Epilogue player was able to tell what game was being inserted. I expected it to take a few seconds to read the cartridges, but within a split second of being inserted, the official box artwork and a brief synopsis of each game popped up on the screen. However, the hardware does take about 1 to 2 minutes to load each game, but you only have to load each game one time and one time only. And you can see the progress of the load time at the top of the screen. So yeah, the people at Epilogue definitely get an A+ for optimizing this thing so amazingly. At the top of the main screen, you will see the words play, data, and photos. The play screen is where you'll find the official box art and synopsis of the inserted game that we spoke about previously, but when you click on data, you'll see that you're able to store the game's data on your computer. And that same exact game file can be played via other Game Boy emulators that you might own. I don't have a lot of experience with other Game Boy emulators because the only one I've ever used was Visual Boy Advance, and that was over a decade and some change ago. And if I still use it, it's consoling to know that I don't necessarily need the Epilogue player to access my games. I really like this because it provides you with a plan B option. Say for instance, something happens to one of your cartridges. It could literally be anything. Maybe the cartridge got broken, stopped working for an unknown reason, or you misplaced it. Now, if you downloaded the game data before the incident occurred, you would still have the ability to play that particular game. You also have the ability to download duplicates of your saved game file, as well as upload them onto a cartridge itself. If you think about it, this is no differently than owning a digital copy of a game. This is literally heaven sent for the Pokemon games, since the core series Pokemon games have never had multiple game save files. And just when I thought that things couldn't get more amazing, I ended up finding all this out. Epilogue, y'all have really outdone yourselves. As of right now, the photos option is grayed out, meaning that it's unavailable, and despite the fact that we don't currently have access to this function, I assume it'll enable us to take in-game screenshots. Emulator settings and device settings are marked as coming soon, so there might be a point in time in the future where I upload another review video to go over these as well. At the bottom left hand corner of the screen, you will see gamepad controls and keyboard controls. I expected for there to be gamepad support, but it seems that the team is still working on some kinks. As of presently, you'll notice that it says, in a future release, you'll be able to configure controlling bindings from here. This means that at this very moment in time, it isn't possible to change your button preferences if you decide to use a controller. No differently than its lightning fast ability to read cartridges, the Epilogue software recognizes your gamepad by name, and it does so within the blink of an eye. In my experience, when I tested things out, I had no issues with my Xbox One controller, despite the lack of being able to change my button bindings, because I ended up figuring out that I didn't have to. While playing Pokemon Ruby, I found out that the default button settings for an Xbox One controller were super simple to figure out. The A, B, start and select buttons on the Xbox One controller perform the exact same as they would if I were using a Game Boy Advance. Granted, the software didn't recognize input from the left joystick. Inputs from the D-pad worked just fine, and that was to be expected because the Game Boy consoles didn't have joysticks, but they all had their own D-pad. However, I had zero success with my PlayStation 4 DualShock 4 controller. I wasn't able to get any farther than pressing the DualShock 4's X button to start the game, and when the game finally started, it didn't recognize any of my controller inputs. Like I said before, there are a lot of kinks still being worked out, so I chalked this one up as a bug that'll eventually be patched in the near future. In game, everything ran pretty smoothly. I never encountered any frame rate lag or anything, but I noticed that the in-game music would skip periodically. I played several different Game Boy games, but I realized that this only happened with the Pokemon games. However, it happened consistently to the point where it was difficult to not notice. Again, this is simply another bug that will undoubtedly be patched in the future. Another thing I want to note is that the hardware claims that it can detect reproduction cartridges. The terminology reproduction is a fancy way of denoting that a game is fake, for those of y'all that weren't already aware. And fortunately but unfortunately, I don't own a single reproduction cartridge to test this, and I absolutely refuse to spend my money on counterfeit products. I have very experienced eyes when it comes to spotting fakes, so I've never unknowingly purchased a fake game before, and even though the Epilogue's counterfeit detection is a great feature and a helpful backup plan, I don't suggest relying on it because you can save yourself a lot of time and money by training your eyes to be able to spot fake cartridges. Well everybody, that does it for the review. I'm happy that I supported this project from the beginning, and I'm even happier to own one. Hopefully this review was helpful enough to convince you to purchase one for yourself, because believe me, it's 100% worth it. I hope that one day we'll get an Epilogue player that plays Nintendo DS cartridges as well, but only time will tell. Anyways, if you made it to the end of this video and enjoyed what you watch, do me a favor and thumb rest to that like button until it turns blue. And if you're new to my neck of the woods, go ahead and subscribe to the channel and click that bell icon so you don't ever miss a video of the most elite gaming content. But with that being stated, one LHD is over and out. Y'all take it easy.